Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the Bogey Free Podcast for the Wells Fargo. I am your host, Evan Cheney. Today, joined by the esteemed Matt Jones. How you doing, today, Matt?
I'm good, man. Unfortunately, have some somewhat bad news. Anthony's going to be stepping away from the show for a little bit, so it's just gonna be me and you. We'll get some guests on in the coming weeks, but yeah, it looks like it's gonna be we're gonna be kicking it old school for a little bit, going
Yeah,
back to a couple of years ago.
I was gonna say this is a throwback type shot. I don't remember the last time it was just you and I.
I know it's gonna be a good one.
Kind of
I'm
romantic to
excited.
think about it.
I'm glad we're back at it though. Last week,
Right.
I can honestly say I didn't think about golf. I didn't look at anything. I didn't turn on the Zurich. I took it as a full week off. No content, no writing, no models, no ownership projections. It was great. So I'm recharged. I'm ready. I think we have the next three majors come up within the next like 10 or 11 weeks or something crazy like that.
Yeah, the schedule's nuts because the PGA compacted it,
Right.
to going into the season, which was smart, right? Because you really don't want to have to compete in the ratings with football.
Yep.
And that was kind of the point of all that finagling of the schedule. So I hear you have an announcement.
I do have an announcement. So we are. I've been working with RotoViz for a bit now on getting these apps and doing the ownership projections, et cetera, et cetera. So as of this week, we are launching a subscription. It's very, very reasonable. It's $6.99 a month or $24.99 for the rest of the season, which compared to most sites, I would say you can't really find a monthly subscription for like $25 for the most part. So really good deal. It's going to have my course preview and trends article to start the week. I'll have a little write-up on the Yahoo pricing and all that. I'll do my usual DraftKings article with the ownership projections, the top 20 model. And since we're really trying to push this a little bit, if you buy a monthly sub, you get $5 off your NFL sub, and if you buy a full season, then you get $10 off your NFL sub for the season. So when you think about it, you buy a month, and it's really only costing you like $1.99, and you can put it towards your NFL package. So make sure you head over there. The apps are live right now. We have the sim scores and pivots. We have the splits app. So and we're working on a couple other things behind the scenes as well. So it'll keep growing. So make sure you click on the links that I'm tweeting out and get subscribed.
All right, sounds good. Let's talk about Wells Fargo for, that's the point of the show, I guess. So I was going to say, let's talk about it for a little bit, but that's kind of
Just
why
for a
we're here,
little
right?
while.
Yeah, that's why we're here. So yeah, this is at Quail Hollow. This course was renovated prior to the 2017 PGA Championship to make it a little more difficult. And it shows, right? This is a top field, and this is going to be a very difficult course to navigate through. Matt, why don't you talk about some of the details of this course and, maybe some of the stats you might be looking at in order to build a player pool this week?
Yeah, I mean it's sort of been finding itself in the top like 5 to 10 most difficult courses on tour that these guys have to play every year. It's a par 71 now. It's over 7,550 yards, which is long. I mean, for the most part, you're usually looking at par 71s around like 71 to 7,200. So I think 8 or 9 of the par 4s are like 450 plus, and 3 of the par 3s are over 200 yards. So you're definitely looking at some longer shots, longer approach shots into these greens, which means that distance is going to be something that I am paying some attention to this week. It's a lot more correlated to DraftKings scoring than accuracy off the tee, which is a big difference from the last time we were talking about a course, right? Like Harbor Town is just literally the complete opposite of this course. So it'll definitely favor the Bombers. Doesn't mean you can totally spray it. It's tree lined and there's some narrow holes, but for the most part, you're looking for some distance so you can get some shorter irons into these greens for sure. And then obviously the usual, greens and reg and everything like that.
Yeah, I do want to add one thing on to that. You should be looking at, now if you don't have a Fantasy National sub, you probably should get one. But there's also whatever my point here is that you do want to look at sand statistics, sand shots, whether you're looking at sand saves gained on Fantasy National or whatever the PGA stat website might have, just because there's 60 bunkers on this course.
Mm-hmm.
And, at some point, inevitably, your player is probably going to hit a shot into the bunker at some point, right? Isn't that just part of probability?
Yeah.
So you want guys who can save their asses in the situation, and that's a stat that I'm looking at this week because of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just like short game in general, I think is important this week. Winning scores here, with the exception of when Rory decided to go apeshit and post like 21 under that one year. It sort of appears like they're going for like a 8 under to 14, maybe 12 under ish winner. So if that's the case, then you're going to have to scramble, and you can't just rely on birdie opportunities all the time. You're going to have to avoid bogeys as well. So just it doesn't usually pop in any of the stuff that I do, and it did this week, like strokes gained around the green. So definitely something to keep in mind.
Well, yeah, it's a hard course, so we will kind of be looking at bogey avoidance more so than birdies gained.
Exactly.
That's normally what I would do, just to play it safe on a course like this.
Agree.
All right, let's talk about some of the chalk here. We will look at our expensive chalk first, which is Rory McIlroy all the way at the top at 11,800. He is certainly the odds-on favorite to win this tournament based on your favorite thing in the world, course history. So,
well, it's also based on the fact that he's like really fucking good at golf. Like that helps also.
Yeah, that'll help. But
yeah, I mean, almost
so
$1,200. $12,000 this week, which is I don't know. I don't know if we've really seen. I don't think anybody's pushed 12,000 this year. Maybe into last year. But this is pretty damn close. We're gonna, if you want to roster him, you're obviously gonna have to find some savings elsewhere, which we'll talk about some of those guys in a little bit. But Rory's been great. That god awful start that he had at the Masters resulted in a 21st place finish. So everything else has been like inside the top 5 or 6 on tour this year. So you can't make a golf argument against playing Rory this week. If you want to play the game theory angle, or if you want to say, you don't know what kind of cut equity you're going to get with the guys who you need to fill in your lineup when you play Rory, then I can understand the argument against him. But from a golf perspective, there's not a heck of a lot of guys playing better golf than Rory right now.
So we talk about Rory. Now, where are you projecting him in terms of ownership? Because obviously that's where we're going to be focused here.
After my first run, I have him definitely over 20%. I think he could push 25. I think Ricky's probably gonna get close to that as well. Again, that's just sort of the first run, but as things are shaking out right now, those are the two above 10K that are probably going to be highest owned.
Yeah, I mean, they're the two best players in this field, so it would make sense for that to be the case. But you're right. There isn't a golf argument to be made for fading him. It's purely ownership. Now, I've kind of been scrambling around here in terms of, looking at past lineups and whatnot. And I do see that some of these top players, these top DFS players, I noticed they never play a guy more than 40%. Like the MME guys. I'm not talking about like, your 3 max guys or, whatever. But your max, your 150 guys, your 20 entry guys. They're not having a guy any more than 40%. So I don't know. That was an interesting observation that I made.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think somebody was talking about this today. I forget who. I know Tambo was talking about it at some point, and I can't remember. Maybe one of the guys from RG were talking about it as well. Got a question today about like just building a player pool in general when you're doing 150. I like, to be totally honest, I don't really ever do the 150 thing. I do the 20 entry max, and I have to say, like, I can't imagine not having at least a guy or two over 50% at least. Just because that helps you narrow your pool down a little bit. I think with 150 entries, it probably is easier to be like, all right, I'm not going to go, I'm going to have these guys in, 50 of the lineups or 60 of my lineups. Like, that makes sense, right? Because you're going for different combinations, and you probably have like 30, 40 guys in your pool. When you're making a 20 entry max, like some weeks I don't even have 20 guys in my pool. So you kind of have to, it really depends on what you're going for. But I think if you're doing that, you embrace all of the variants and at least take a stand on a couple of these guys,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm moving towards single entry and limited entry content. So it's not, I don't know, it was just something that I saw through some research here. All right, let's kind of bump down here to our kind of mid-tier chalk play and Phil Mickelson at 9,100. Talk about Phil. I mean, how's
just
Lefty
wild.
looking in this field?
He's all over the goddamn place. Like, he finished second, I guess, to start the year, then missed a cut, then he won, and then he wins at Pebble. Then like he's had maybe one top 20 since then. Like, he's kind of been all over the place. I would imagine that he's viewing this as more of a tune-up than a tournament that he's like completely going after. We're 2 weeks out from the PGA Championship, and Bethpage Black is a pretty good comp for this course as far as, like long, tree lined, and just generally how they sort of play. I'm not crazy about Phil this week. Like, I know that he can come out just sort of randomly and snap into form as much as the next guy. But if he's going to see, like, I have him like 18% right now. If he's going to see that much ownership, I feel like there's some other options in that range that I can get behind, and will be probably underweight on him.
Yeah, I might not, if the ownership is as much as I think it's going to be, and what you're saying it's going to be, I'll probably just fade in single entry, underweight in multi-entry.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. Like, single entry, I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to eat that much ownership, especially if you're gonna, roster a couple other guys that could end up being popular. I think Phil makes sense to stay away from a little bit, but I'm sure he wins now that I said that. But happens
probably. All right, so let's jump down here to our value chalk play. Last time he was mentioned on this program, he was part of a listener league winning lineup by yours truly, Killer Keith, at 7,800.
Yeah, I mean, I think things have shifted a little bit as far as ownership goes from when I sent you this. Like, Keith is definitely up there. I think Sabatini at $100 less is going to see a little bit of ownership. And I think Keegan is sort of right there at 8,000. So as far as Keith goes, like, he's the fit for here, right? Like, he's the bomber. He obviously he can't putt like worth a damn ever. But if he's one of those guys that if he ends, it sounds like a cop out whenever we say it, but if he's neutral putting, like, he's going to hit greens and he's going to score usually. or at least find his fair share of birdies with the occasional triple bogey mixed in. Yeah, I mean, if he's going to be super popular, I feel reasonably comfortable fading him. Just from an ownership, like game theory kind of perspective, because he hasn't been killing it lately. Like, I don't know, he's hit 60% of his greens a couple of times recently, but hasn't really been flashing the irons since he won. So
yeah, no, he has cooled off considerably since. I mean, it's been what, 2 months almost,
right,
since he won. So yeah, he's cooled off quite a bit.
yeah.
All right. Is that it for the chalk here? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can hit some guys after I'm going to remind you guys about the listener league. Really, really let me down at the Heritage. Went to sleep with 48 entrants and woke up to no contest. So let's make sure we fill this bad boy up. I just made it. I bumped it down to 40. I know I'm pulling a DraftKings here and sizing down the contest, but my ego can't take another listener league that doesn't fill. So we need to make sure we get this one filled up. It'll be in the show link, in the description for the show on iTunes, and it'll be on my Twitter at MattJonesTFR. And if Evan throws me a retweet, it'll be at eChaney17 as well.
Thanks. Right, yeah, I needed that. All right, let's discuss our GPP pivots here. We'll start at the 95,000 and up range. Of course, yeah. We already. God, I don't even know anymore, man. I finished my last final exam today.
You're so fucking young. It's so depressing every time you talk about this shit. Oh my God, I hate it.
Yeah, there's. I see. Here's just a quick side note about my relative youth to the rest of the industry. I remember there were two of these events. So there was a DFS seminar in 2015 in New York City. I was by far the youngest person there. How old was I? I was 18. Yeah, I was 18 years old. I was like, I mean, I've already been playing DFS for like a year or two at that point, like Shady Underground. But but yeah, I was the only. I think the next youngest person was like 30 or something. At least what I saw. So it's definitely
that's just depressing. I'm running around changing Jack's diaper, like putting on his PJs and running down here. You're giving me shit for like being 2 minutes late. Fucking, you're like, yeah, no, I was at the I had a field trip today. Get the fuck out of here.
I did take a nap at some point. I think.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I think it was like 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Nap sounds great.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Anyway, where were we? All right. So yeah, we already talked about Rory McIlroy at 11-8. Everyone down from there. I mean, you talked about Ricky Fowler probably being your next chalkiest guy in this price range. Yeah. Maybe even Justin Rose. I think Justin Rose and Jason. I mean, there's quite a bit of good leverage you can get in this range.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonably stacked field to a certain extent. Like it drops off pretty significantly pretty quick, but it's a little there's some star power up at the top. Maybe not for casual fans, but for sure for us at least. But yeah, I mean, as far as my model goes this week, like Decky is next highest in the 9,500 and up range. And then Casey. The only two who really honestly didn't pop are Ricky and Sergio in this range. So the fact that he didn't pop in the model and that he's going to be popular means that Fowler is a pretty easy fade for me this week, just based on what I value when building lineups. And I have no problem fading Sergio this week either, with really good options around him. I think Decky is definitely my next favorite play. You kind of know what you're getting with him for the most part, right? Like he's gonna make cuts. Like he's gonna bounce around a little bit. His putter's going to let him down. He's going to finish in the 30s sometimes, and he's going to, be slightly above average on the greens and finish in the top 15. Like, that's just what he does. So I'm willing at an ownership discount and $1,700 cheaper than Rory. I'm willing to take some stabs at Decky this week.
I'm gonna go in a different direction.
You're allowed.
In terms of, I know this is gonna break your heart. Yeah, but in terms of pivots off of McIlroy, I actually prefer Day, and then I kind of want to start a conversation on Webb Simpson after I talk about Jason Day.
Of course you do.
What's with the disappointment?
Just fucking, you just love Webb.
When I said Webb, I just want him to work one time. Actually, he did work one time. He worked in the Masters, but that was like his one time. But yeah, I mean, Jason Day, he does everything pretty well. It's nothing spectacular. Driving distance, the smirk.
He's like
the smirk.
He's like the 6th best golfer in the world. You're like, he does everything pretty well.
He does everything pretty well. What do you want me to say? He sucks?
No,
I'll lose that argument.
No,
I agree with that.
He doesn't suck.
He's a good player. Just his back is
right. He's super tilting, and he bugs me because he really doesn't hit as many greens as you'd hope for rostering him, but he just scores. Like, he has one of the best short games around, so he's going to score.
Yeah, and that's what matters, right? The ability to be able to lay up onto the green and then just drain a putt.
Yeah, I mean, he won here for a reason last year, right? Like,
I don't need to do too much more convincing on Jason Day. I kind of just drop down to Webb Simpson here because that's where you seem to have this vendetta.
There's no vendetta.
If that's the correct way.
I just don't get, like, I just don't know why he's the hill you're choosing to die on all the time.
He's the hill I'm choosing to die on because it's leverage just in case Jason Day decides to be chalky. Which I don't think he will, but I don't know. Sometimes the DFS ownership golf gods are against me in this regard.
Like, I would just rather play Casey.
Paul Casey's a no-no for me.
Or I'd rather play Finau. Like, I know he's not in the range we're talking about, but like, I'd rather just keep going down. Like,
well, can I get just give me my 2 seconds of Webb, and then I'll let you do whatever.
All right, Spider-Man, whatever you say.
All right, so how I said like earlier, all the bunkers that are on this course, 60 of them. Webb Simpson in the last 24 rounds played, #1 in this field in sand saves gained. He is also.
That also means he's hitting it into that many bunkers.
No. It just means that he's allowing him, or he's saving his ass when he hits in the bunkers.
Right.
If this is how I'm correctly
hit it into the bunker to save your ass from the bunker is my point.
Okay. Can we make it clear that all of these guys are hitting it into bunkers at some point? Like, is that crystal clear to all of us?
We'll see.
What do you mean we'll see? This is a yes or no question.
Oh, we'll see.
Anyway, all right. You're.
I wish they had. I wish that they had the like sand save opportunities listed as well.
Now, see, that would be interesting. That I would like to see that. And then I do have one more point here.
Okay, go ahead.
He's also the 5th best scrambler in this field.
Okay, that I can get behind.
Oh, now I'm credible. Okay. See, I know where you're. All right.
All right. So he's first. He's first in sand saves over his last 24 rounds, right?
Yeah, he's first in this field in that, and then 5th in this field in that same time frame.
I don't think that's a good thing. Like, Bazzelli, Michael Thompson, Steven Yeager, like Jimmy Walker, like all these guys are awful, and they're the same thing. Like, they're at the top of this list with him. It's not like sort. No. It's not like you sort by sand saves gained, and you're like, holy shit! Like, it's Dustin Johnson and it's Tiger Woods. Like, it's fucking Bazzelli and Padraig Harrington. Like, give me a break.
All right. See, here's my logic behind the stat, and I know this is. I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm going to say it anyway because you're just. I just have to now. Right.
This is fun.
It's fun. I enjoy this.
We don't have time for this anymore.
That's true. But God, you froze on me. You froze on me. All right, I'm just gonna talk. All right. So sand saves gain, right? You have to get there somehow, right? Because obviously all these guys are hitting into the sand, and okay, this is just weird. Hold on. Are you? God damn it! Having so much fun. Good.
What the hell?
Were we live that whole time, or?
Yeah.
That's awkward.
Yeah.
All right, I lost all the momentum of my argument, so
Perfect.
guess I just have to sadly move on.
Yeah. Let's just move on from web forever.
As you wish. All right.
I hope the rest of this records. It says we're live again, so
I hope our sand saves argument. That's an old timer.
well, that made it in, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this made it in. If this is gonna make it in, but we'll find out. We'll talk. We'll talk through a couple more guys, and and we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
What else you got for me?
I don't have any egregiously hot takes.
Who else is really good at hitting into the sand?
That's not this again. Well, I mean, Lucas Glover's like 15th in that stat.
Yeah, point proven.
And Justin Rose. Are you going to tell me that Justin Rose is a bad golfer?
Where is he in that? Where
he is 12th. in that
Oh yeah,
stat.
you mean the guy who just ejected at the Masters and hasn't been hitting greens this season? Yeah,
Sometimes
cool.
you got to do what you got to do. You know, his goal when he went into the season was to increase his sand saves gained. And you know what? By golly, he's doing it.
Just keep heading towards that beach, and you'll be great.
It's the only way to play. Um, I mean, when I play the virtual golf simulator Pebble Beach, it never stays on the fairway. So that's my strategy. Anyway, back to reality here. I see Finau. You want to talk about Tony Finau? Because I feel like you want to talk about Tony Finau.
I mean, everybody knows I love me some Finau. I think that you could feel pretty comfortable, kind of starting at Decky and mixing in like some combos with Finau and Woodland. Finau's going to be popular. That's not really a surprise. Like he's popular. It seems like every single week. Yeah, I mean he's been fine. Like Finau it hasn't been like nonstop the way that you wish. You know the way that he hit in streaks. You know in the middle of last year, towards the end of last year, but yeah, he's. I know the fit is there, but if he's going to be like 25% owned or something stupid, then it's kind of hard to roster him.
Yeah, 26, 25. It's kind of silly. Right.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of rough. Like I'd rather take Gary at an ownership discount, and for all intents and purposes, like they're kind of the same guy, right? Like they have the same game right now. I don't know. I think that's where you have to go. I'd rather avoid Phil, if possible. I said I like Casey. Like this range is sort of what's going to make my week, I would imagine. Like the decision between how many and who to play of Decky, Casey, Finau, and Woodland. Like if one of those guys misses the cut, then I'm probably done this week.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to look down here and see where there's really no huge leverage to be had. You know what I mean? Because like maybe CH3, like in this range, might be your biggest leverage play, but that's like hardly right. If you want to talk about an ownership fade, Benny on.
Yeah, I'm done with him.
Yeah, people. I don't know why people love him. Like I know he's kind of on a hot streak, somewhat. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I mean?
mean
Like it's not.
he missed at the Heritage. He couldn't find a fairway.
Oh,
Like
Heritage. He played terribly.
yeah, he doesn't
Yeah,
couldn't get up and down when he missed the greens. Like he was 7 over on the par fours. Like he's just that wasn't it. Like at Valero, he looked good. Like that was what he needed to win. Like he hit almost 80% of his greens and
but he's not going to
putted.
do that here.
No.
I
But I'm saying
highly doubt.
like that was his shot.
Yeah,
Like he was right there. If he could make a couple of putts, then we're probably talking about him as a top, as a winner there, or like a top 3 finish instead of 7th. But he couldn't putt. Like if you hit 80% of your greens and you come in 7th, like that's not good. That means something went wrong
yeah,
in the rest of your game.
absolutely. So yeah, we talk about him.
I
I
mean,
know my
Chucky Three Bills
Chucky
is
three
second in my
sticks.
model.
Yeah, Chucky three sticks is probably the only leverage you're gonna have in this range. At least again, as of Tuesday night.
Yeah, and I mean, Kokrak will probably be popular too.
He's
Again,
been yeah.
like golf wise, it all makes sense. And from a fit perspective, for a guy who can hit it as far as he can and who's hitting as many greens as he is, like obviously that's something that you would probably be interested in. Like he even played well at the Heritage, which I didn't think he was gonna do too well because it just didn't seem like a good fit. But he's just playing such good golf right now; it didn't even matter.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to look for the guys that are like big, like bombers here, and I don't know. Not seeing. Not seeing. I mean, I see Chucky 3 Sticks here, 24th, Kokrak 26. Not bad.
Yeah, they're up there, and you also have to figure the people who played at Heritage a couple weeks ago all were clubbing down, and so their recent driving distance is probably a little skewed.
Yeah. How do you feel about Aaron Wise? I see him getting some momentum here in terms of
Yeah,
conversation.
he was second here last year, right? I think.
But of course, Mr. Course History. What do you have to say to
Yeah,
that?
I mean, he's playing well right now, so like that's what I would care more about. This isn't like a Pete Dyer in Augusta where you're like, oh my god, they need to like know how to play this course. Like it's whatever. He's been hitting 2/3 of his greens in his last 4 starts, even though he just putted so shitty at Sawgrass that he missed the cut, even though he hit 70% of his greens. But if he's going to keep hitting greens, then sure. Like, I don't know, 8,100 seems like a fine price for him. I'm sure he'll make the cut. I feel like Howell is safer, and List probably has better upside with like half the ownership. So List is definitely somebody that I'm interested in. This week he popped in the model. Yeah, after that it gets a little dicey until we get into like the 7K range, the lower 7K range for me.
Yeah, personally, I don't want a whole lot to do with some of this like 7K chalk. Keegan, oh god,
I
our
played
one
Keegan
Keegan
at the
defender.
Masters.
Yeah,
That was a
JB Holmes
problem.
is picking up some steam. Not
I'm good.
in golf, but in ownership. I don't. I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
like I'm all set.
JB Holmes is a DFS dick.
I would play like the 8 guys in either direction of him, probably over him right now.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I wouldn't blame you for that. I don't know. Obviously, neither of us really seem to like this high 7K range.
No.
So, yeah, I don't. Is there anyone I would play? Maybe, maybe ZJ. Maybe that's a stretch.
Yeah.
7,900.
Maybe.
That's a
I
lot.
don't know.
Yeah. So let's kind of go down to the lower 7K. I don't see a whole ton of leverage spots, but I know guys like Michael Thompson might be worth playing.
All the sensives.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Mullinax. I think he fits really well here.
So much.
Why?
Because I had like so much exposure to him one week. I forget when it was, and he missed the cut. Like it was a weak field too. It might have been the Corrales. Honestly, it could have been the Corrales.
Well,
Which
that was your first problem playing the Corrales.
Well, I'd rather that than the shit show that was match play DFS.
Yeah, let's not even go there.
That's like I looked at that. I remember looking at that slate and I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, reasonable.
I'd rather do homework. That's a stretch. Yeah.
Yeah. Clark and Neiman popped a little bit. Clark obviously had that disastrous Saturday a few weeks ago. Steele always pops, but like good luck if you feel like rostering him and embracing that tilt. Varner's up there. Like once you get past there though, like Lebiota is there at 6,800. And after that, man, like God bless if you want to dig deeper than that. Like if you want Sink at 6,500 to just be able to afford Rory, I think he makes sense.
Well,
just from like a making the cut possibly perspective, but like there's like utter trash down here. Like
I have
I'm
a
not.
cheap. I have one singular cheap play.
All right. This is the sizzle right now, and then we're gonna hit our cash locks.
This is the sizzle because I have a saying. You know, my dad likes to make bread, right? And you know, one day I asked him, you know, why don't you sell this bread for money, right? Because it was good bread. You know, my grandma used to love it and whatnot. And you know what he told me? He said, "No bow,
What did he tell
no dough." And that, kids, is how you allude to Bo Hosler as the GPP nut of the week.
No.
Yes. 6th in scrambling. 28th in driving
because
distance.
he misses all of the greens.
My man, let me tell you something. Bo Hosler is going to be the only way you're going to fit Rory, someone else in that, you know, 9K-ish range, and still get a winning lineup.
No, this is ludicrous.
See, you think it's ludicrous, but
no,
you're gonna wake up.
All right, so what are the stakes here then? So I'll take Lebiota over him. He's $100 less. All
right, a Hank Lebota and Bo Hosler prop bet. I never knew I'd get to this point. But
is this the new Tway versus Glover?
Well, here's the thing: you conceded Tway versus Glover because Glover just decided to dominate, and Tway didn't.
No,
but I'll take this. I mean, honestly, how often are Bo Hosler and Hank Lebota going to be in the same field?
All the time, because they don't have like high Yeah, they're always going to be in the same field.
All right, whatever. I mean, hey, if it happens, well, I mean, I'm just taking the Bo Hosler stand this week, just because he's good.
He's already backpedaling, folks.
But, this
is what happens.
I'm not backpedaling. No. I have very strong conviction of Bo Hosler this week. Right, for Quail Hollow, he is my lock.
All right,
for a cheap play.
No, you said it. He's one of your cash.
I have another. Yeah, he's gonna be one of my cash locks. But okay, but of course I have a second one as well. But Bo Hosler, everyone, if you want to win the GPP dollars, that's all. That's all I have to say here.
All right. All right, let's hit our cash locks before we singe everybody's eyebrows off.
I think we did that a long time ago. I guess I already gave you my first one, so I gave you my second one. I'll just do I'll get Rory. I mean, obviously he's strongest player in this field based on course fit, and you know he did win here. What? When did he win here? 2017.
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Yeah. So I don't know. Strong play. I have conviction with him. Take Rory.
There you go. I'm going to go a little lower and go with Decky and Howell. I'm going to keep rolling with it.
I didn't even talk about Glover today, did I?
You did.
I did.
You were so excited you must have blacked out, but you definitely did.
Okay. He's a good driver. He's 5th in good drives gained. That's the last thing I have to say.
There you go.
All right. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Matt is at Matt Jones TFR. Myself, I'm at eChaney17. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and YouTube. You can find us Bogey Free DFS on both of those platforms. And of course, if we're not winning all the money, we hope you guys do. So good luck in your contests this week.
See you.